Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome all of you to the International Conference on Management, Education, and Emerging Technology here in Kuala Lumpur, which is going to be held from 8 until 9 December 2021. I'm very sorry for not coming to attend physically to come to Kuala Lumpur due to COVID-19 pandemic. But anyway, I'm still with you for this occasion. First of all, I would thank to the Core Research Foundation for allowing me to be one of the keynote speakers, which I have a great opportunity to share my experiences, my expertise with all of you, all over the world, on the Asian countries especially. And unfortunately, we can't meet each other physically, but we still have technology to be used for discussing something important, which I would like to share today on this occasion by delivering you through this video an important title, which is as a current issues for nowadays, which for the most of the people, because of the pandemic, talk about digital. So the process of digitalization cannot be avoided. So that's why we have to adapt ourselves to the new situation, to the new condition. Like or not, you have to adapt yourself to the new technology, which help us in managing something, managing ourselves, managing the people, managing your own business, or even for the scientific purposes, such as like scientific research in management. This is one important thing to be discussed during this session. I would like to introduce my topic, which is concerned about the resistance and psychological capital. And the question is, I put here to be addressed here for all of you to be discussed by yourself or through the email with me, is how to minimize employees' resistance at workplace during the digital era. As you know that since a couple of years ago, we have been forced to adapt ourselves for the new technology in any form of life, in daily life. For example, like as a consumer, we have to be familiar with how to reserve food, how to reserve a food by using online, which is uncommon during the previous, before the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. So there's a consequence of this digitalization era, the digital era. Something like we have to adapt ourselves to be more familiar with the new technology. We cannot avoid it. So that's why we have to live at the new normal life, even in educational sector, in teaching and learning process, which is usually taught by the teacher just physically in front of us, taught by the professor, taught by a lecturer at the university level. Physically, we can discuss face by face, but unfortunately, since the COVID-19 pandemic, we have to adapt ourselves into new era of digital, which we call digital learning. So that's why some of us psychologically perhaps do not want to change. That's what we call resistance. This is one of the results conducted by McKinsey, said that 46% of financial services executives feel cultural or behavioral change is the biggest challenge they face in pursuing their digital strategies. And what has been resulted after doing the research, it has been known that leading companies' digital and corporate strategies are one and the same. The COVID-19 crisis has made this imperative more urgent than ever. While the alignment on overall strategy and strong leadership have long been markers of success during disruption or transformation. And then, on other occasions, the result found out that the digital adoption has taken a quantum leap at both the organizational and industrial level. During the pandemic, consumers have moved dramatically toward online channels. So we have to know what kind of digital transformation is. How to define digital transformation? One of the resources said that digital transformation is the process of using digital technology to create new or modify existing business process, culture, and customers' experiences to meet changing business and market requirements. And another opportunity, digital transformation defined as the realignment of new investment in technology and business models to move effectively, engage digital customers at every point in the customer experience life cycle. I mean, whatever the digital transformation has been defined by experts. So the most important question, do we want to adapt ourselves into the new era or not? If not, we will leave behind. So we have to move on into the future, to the best future. But I don't want to force you. Just appreciate for the new technology, especially concerning the teaching and learning process. Some of the students that I got an experience, they miss touch physically by their teachers or professors. They got boring to learn via Zoom or other equipments, other tools. What they are eager are to meet with the teachers directly, physically, because technology is not as good as human touching. So in this case, psychologically, our student needs directly to be touched by lecturer or professor. So that's why one of the delivering system, most importantly, used during the COVID-19 pandemic, called blended learning. It consisted of around 70% offline, and the rest is going to be delivered by online. That's a kind of hybrid strategy of teaching, much better than only precisely using the online. So let's back to the management process, because our theme during this conference is concerned with three things: management, education, and emerging technology. So I would like to combine three of them into one session during this occasion. I would like to talk about the management, especially concerned with the change management. And I would like to talk about the technology. For example, like I am talking about the digital transformation. On the other hand, I have to talk about the education and how to improve, how to empower. That's a kind of combination between management and education. So whatever the digital transformation will be defined by us, you agree or not, but we have in common unusual faced by us in daily life. For example, like program to manage all multiple projects, new roles created, created, mobile application, new site, updated e-commerce engine, multiple rollout of new tools and system, unification of in-store and online experience, unification of web and mobile experience. There is common activities result from digital strategy that we are going to be familiar with. But there are 4 areas in digital transformation. We are talking about technology, dealing with the data and processing. And of course, we have to do a kind of organizational change. Because at the digital transformation, we are going to face the core elements which consisted of customer understanding, customer touch points, digital modified business, top line growth, process digitalization, and performance management. We have been already known that during the performance management, we can use such as like balance scorecard or 360 degrees, or we use the traditional or classical one, such as like appraisal performance or performance evaluation. But one more thing that we have to understand that the people at the business sector or even at the institution, at the university, at the company, they all must understand and capable to do a kind of change management. However, it has been identified that 7 digital transformation challenges. But I would like prefer to choose the number 2 on the list of this slide: lack of organizational change management. This is going to be a focus of my speech today. And the question is, why is change important in digital transformation? Because we want to create a competitive advantage. Companies evolve to get better at what they to do. By allowing the process of change, the structure, change management might help companies spot opportunity to gain a competitive advantage through reduced cost, specialization, innovation, or increased quality of service. That's very important. It's the last word, which concern with service, because the service will reflect the quality of how the company has the qualification of good management or well managed or not. So that's why we need to change everything. But the most important thing is to have to change is psychological aspect. Your mindset, it's very difficult to change. Because some people feel that a usual life, daily life, is much better than facing the new situation, the new condition. It's very hard to change. That's what we call resistance. So that's why we need to learn a little bit about change management, which is defined as one of the most important strategies for ensuring successful digital transformation. Whatever, again, change management has been defined by expertise, by some experts. But the problem is how many percent of the employees or at the campus of the professor or lecturer or even the students need this kind of change management until they will have a new paradigm which stated there is no day without changes. So when we're working with the change management, there are 3 questions should be raised from most of the people who working with the change management. They are ready or not. It should be answered by this. Those employees should be, one of the employers should answer, I understand what the change is and why it is important. That's belongs to ready and willing. I understand my role in this change. That's willing to change. And final one is ability. Have the training and tools I need to do my job in the future state. I understand how success is measured. That's the ability required by some of the employees who the companies belongs to them are progressing in doing change management. So when we view the change management concept, there are three interactive process which we focus on the organizational change management. Because by doing organizational change management, involving also changing in any structure, including human people at the workplace, including employees, which is some of them psychologically do not want to be changed, do not want to involve in change management. So there are four kinds of response to change. When a company or corporation, or even a campus, a university level, or school, want to carry out such kind of change. The first one is related to how individual attitude affect response to change. Because feeling are not the result of change, they cause. One cause is personal history, and second cause is the work environment. The second one is Hawthorne effect, which means that one perceives that he or she needs to be changed, but will affect the others to follow the change. The third one is group response to change. The same with the Hawthorne effect, because we can witness that whatever happens to one of us affects all of us. So when a group of people want or need to be changed and follow the program of the change management, led by the managers or supervisors, and they are going to follow them together, because will affect the group of people who wants to be changed. And the final one is homeostasis, because they want to maintain their previous sense of competence. They don't need, and it is not required necessarily to be changed so badly. Let's come up with the principle that change is hard. For some of us, change is very hard. Such as like change your behavior during the pandemic. Use your mask. Wash your hands. Keep distant from the people, which we call social distance. It's very hard to follow the rule. So that's has been proven by improving and the rising of the virus action. And the first of all, based on this slide, we can read that the reality is that change is hard. People are naturally resistant to change. This is our focus of discussion. Resistance to change is important to be discussed because we have to eradicate something like we have to minimize a group of people who resist to change. In any organization, institution, or corporation, including company, the leaders or managers will face three groups of people. Usually, the first group is belongs to loyal people, loyal employee, commit employees. Another textbook, the other textbook called engagement group or internalization group. And the other one is at the middle position called complaint group. And the rest one, the third one, what we know as a resistant group. It's very hard to face them because the leaders or managers, also including school principal, try to minimize those people who resist to change. So that's why we have to know why those people are resist to change. Some of points have been tried to identify, such as like lack of trust, believe that change is not necessary, believe that change is not feasible, economic threats. For example, like some of the company is doing something like what we call downsizing. Some of the people who hold the position, a good position, will be feared by economic threats because they are going to be no longer at that position. So that's mean by economic threats. For example, like fear of personal failure, loss of status and power, and etc. There are three kinds of resistance of change among employees. But I would like to try to focus on what I'm going to tell you. What we are going to discuss today is type of resistance belongs to psychological or emotional attitude. So that's why it's going to be easier to find out if you have already known the cause of why the employees or the people would like to be resist to change. So there are several ways in how to minimize resistance to change, such as like improving our communication, enlightening, empowering by using the learning process, such as like learning organization, which I'm going to tell you later, improving the involvement of the employees well in using stress management and try to improve negotiation skill. And final one is caution. So why we have to minimize the people resistance? In order to minimize or something like not only minimize to do with the people, but also try to eradicate the people from the anxious. The anxiety will disturb the productivity of the employees, including the student also, if they are very anxious and during the learning process, it will affect their achievement, particularly their academic achievement. So that's why we have to try to eradicate the anxiety of the people, at least to minimize the anxiety, make them happy. And how to make them happy? And why we try to make them happy? In order to not to be racist during the change. Moving from resistance of the group resistance, move into the loyal one, or at least the complaining one. As I told you before, there are three kinds of groups will be faced by any manager, any leaders, any supervisors, which belong to their staff or their followers or subordinates. So make them happy. Why do we need make them happy? Because we want to improve their productivity, because we want to improve their academic performance at the university level or at the school level. For the employee, less anxiety and more happier, it would be better to achieve the profit by improving their productivity. Will be reflected by performance. So that's why we have to develop such kind of a program which make them very happy. I think all of you will understand how to do this. But from the management side, I would like to introduce one of the ultimate weapon to minimize their resistance, to minimize their anxiety, to make them happy by empowering their psychological capital. Because most of the people have a kind of psychological which could be used in empowering themselves to be more productive, performance to be better than before. That's what we call psychological capital. That's regarding the title of today's meeting. Today's discussion is about the resistance and psychological capital. But of course, there is another objective to use psychological capital not only to make employees to be happier, but also to improve their performance, such as like one of the research findings I would like to share with you after this. So why psychological capital? Because change is most likely to happen when five energies are high, especially psychological energy. Psychological energy, including the energy of courage, resilience, and feeling safe to do things differently. Resilience is one of the psychological capital dimension. That's why I'm interested in talking about psychological capital in this case, because change will be affected by psychological energy. Involves feeling supported to make a change and trust in leadership and direction. So that's why, for the final of this session, I would like to talk a little bit about the leadership. What kind of leadership is appropriate in order to empower the psychological capital of the human being? That's what we call authentic leadership. This is 4 dimensions of psychological capital, ladies and gentlemen. I think some of you have been familiar with this concept. It consisted of 4 dimensions. There are hope, efficacy, resilience, and optimism. So by empowering the employees or human being or the people psychological capital, including student psychological capital, means that their resilience, which reflected on adversity intelligence, their self-efficacy is a belief that he or she is able to do anything assigned to her, to him, and optimism also about succeeding in the now and the future, and also their hope towards a special goal they prefer to achieve. That's very important to know deeply about psychological capital, because I hypothesize that will affect the people not to be resistant to change, especially during the digital era. And one of the leadership style that is appropriate to improve or empower the psychological capital of a human being, which in this figure, psychological capital will affect directly the job performance, job satisfaction, organizational citizenship behavior, or whatever, which a positive one is authentic leadership. So authentic leadership is appropriate because they have 4 components: self-awareness, know themselves, and transparency in relationship, and also balance processing, and also internalize moral perspective, do the right thing, which is combined between among four of these dimensions will reflect the authentic leadership. But I would like to be interested in the first component of the authentic leadership is self-awareness. Anybody that never been able to manage themselves will have difficulty in managing others. That's the point. And in order to be succeeded and in order to be successful in managing others, so we have to be able to manage ourselves. This is what I have told earlier, that authentic leadership and high psychological capital will influence the performance and also well-being of the employees. And also 4 dimensions have been found to be correlated significantly with organizational commitment, because the concept of organizational commitment is very important in order to reduce a turnover rate at any corporation or company. So that's why I'm suggesting that for this occasion, I would like to introduce, this is the old concept which we call learning organization. Why is it important in knowing about learning organization? Because learning organization is focusing on human capital, because the employee view perceived by the owners of the corporation, the CEO of the business level of the company, as an asset, not as a cost. In trying to empower the psychological capital of the employees, including also of the students, so the school or company or corporation or institution, whatever, will focus on learning organization, which is the most important, will be influenced by the leadership. In learning organization will involve intellectual capital, which also consists of human capital, psychological capital, social capital, and organizational capital. So that's why most of the company during the current situation has moved from human resource management into human capital management. But we cannot leave behind the human resource management, because still very important, still required by most of the corporation. As an additional point of view, human resource management will be more powerful when supported by human capital management. As this statement stated, that essential difference between human capital and human resource management is that the former, the human capital, treats people as assets, while human resource management treats the people as a cost. I would like to summarize what I have discussed so far to all of you. Hopefully you will agree or not agree, it doesn't matter. This is my point of view, that when we need to change or to do the change management at any institution or corporation or company, will affect a human resistance, which can be minimized by applying psychological capital principle, by supporting, by implementing the authentic leadership, and psychological capital will be powerful in eradicating the people, the employees' resistance, especially, particularly at digital era. That's what I talk about, the 3 points which covered by this conference, the International Conference on Management, Education, and Emerging Technology, which related to 3 topics, 3 concepts that I have shared to all of you, is about the change management, which focusing on resistance to change, and improving psychological capital, which related to education, how to educate people by using the authentic leadership. And final one is emerging technology, which concerned with the digitalization process. That's all I have today during this speech, and please accept my apology for being not well in communicating in English. But the point is, we have to change. That's the point. It's the important thing to be imagine, to be think it over after you listening this my video, is try to hold a new paradigm. There is no day, there is not a single day not to change. So thank you very much for your attention, and hopefully you will be successful in participating this conference.